Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you are a returning viewer and have been like, whoa Tyler, where the hell have you been? I'm back and I'm so glad that you came back too. Today we're going to be taking a relatively in-depth look at the Piper Comanche recently released by A2A. This is an aircraft that I have been waiting for since they first announced it, what felt like years ago. When they announced this airplane, I was pretty much ready to hand them whatever amount of money they wanted and just accept whatever paperweight they threw my way. But they didn't make us wait for it, and the wait was well worth it because this aircraft, which spoiler alert, is phenomenal. It's better than I imagined it would be. Having had it for FSX and loving it, and it was my favorite airplane in FSX, I would probably put this above the Kodiak in Microsoft Flight Simulator. It is definitely my favorite airplane. So with the spoiler out of the way, let's go ahead and do a in-depth look at the aircraft and take it around the pattern here in Bryce Canyon and kind of go over everything about it. Alright, so we're going to start off this by pretty much doing a walk around of the airplane from the external drone camera. So looking at it, at the propeller and the spinner here, it looks really good. If we pay attention underneath the prop, we can even see the like gearing here for the propeller, which is awesome. Looking inside, everything looks really nice and clean, really well done. The cooler down here actually has some dirt and grime. Looks like it's even picked up some bugs along the way, which is a nice touch. Prop looks good. We got some nice dirt and stuff down here. On the tires and the wheels, we can see streaks underneath the belly because we did just fly it in from Flagstaff. So it does actually have some use to it. Got dirt and grime around the little covers there that attach to the engine. We got real nice shiny Comanche logo. There's me. We can see some dirt and scratches on the window. The window is open right now and you can see that from the outside. Just looking around, everything looks really good. Even the chocks and the landing gear look nice. Good texturing on the rope that hold the chocks together. And just overall, everything underneath and above and on this airplane is just really good looking. They did a great job. Coming around, you can even see some marks on the little cover for the landing light there. And one of the attention to details that I liked is right here on the tip tank kind of fuel door cover. We see where the paint's chipped around the edges, you know, from just opening it and closing it. Even the actual latch itself has some wear and tear, which is nice. Then continuing our walk around, everything just looks really well modeled. We can see rivets. We can pretty much see what holds the whole airplane together. And see even like right at these rivets, you can actually see where dirt and grime just built up behind it as you fly the airplane. And the little walking path up on the wing and into the cockpit is even worn. Because after all, this is an old airplane. They have not made these in a very long time. Which I guess they were kind of expensive to make. So back when the Piper plant flooded, back when it was still, I think, Pennsylvania, if I remember right, Piper moved down to Florida and was like, we're not going to make that Comanche anymore. We're going to make what eventually ended up being the like Cherokee and Archer and all that. Well, nice. You got a sticker here for aircraft finishes in Salinas, California, where it was painted with a phone number. That's cool. I actually haven't really took this in-depth of look on the airplane yet. And everything just looks really good, even from back here. And look at that. That's just so good looking. We even got these nice antennas. You got the links that hold pretty much the whole thing together and keep you flying. Got the wires and antennas on the roof, on the bottom. It's a really well modeled airplane and it looks really good too. This is one of the default liveries that come with the aircraft. This is not one that I downloaded off flightsim.to. Although I have gotten some off flightsim.to, but this is not one of them. And the left wing, just like the right wing, looks just as good. We can see my I guess, the captain's window open and the little temperature probe sticking out the side. And overall, we're going to see pretty much the same thing on this side. It just looks really well modeled, really well textured. It's a great looking airplane. A2A did a great job. There's our pitot tube. We got some more scratches or bugs or just whatever it is there on the landing light. And coming around here to our little stall. I don't know if you want to call it a stall or flap, lever, whatever you want to call it. But it lets us know when we're about to fall out the sky. It's even modeled well. Overall, it's a great looking airplane, great looking bird. I'm really glad to have it. And see, we even got wear and tear on the latches down here, which is nice. And so now we'll go ahead and hop inside and do kind of an exterior look around before we actually take the aircraft up in the air. Okay, so looking at the internal side of the aircraft, A2A did not disappoint. It is extremely well modeled, and it's what you would expect from, I would say, just A2A in general. So we got animations for like the doors, the door latches, the windows. So see, everything's all nice and animated. Even the vents here on the side, which I forgot to show, but the vents move. You actually have to open them, and they do make a difference for the cabin temperature, and you can hear a noise when they're open. But we're going to go ahead and start from my side and work our way around the aircraft. So just like on the other side, we got this nice vent that opens. Another vent right here, and if we take a listen, you can actually hear that the vent's moving air through it. We do have our little cargo pocket here, which holds our iPad. And it's got different screens on it. Here's the home screen, which goes over that we are in the A2A Piper Comanche. And this is November 7791 Papa. Then we got our flight info tab, which gives us like our rundown of the basic environmental factors that's going on today. We do also have the overall aircraft specs based on our current performance, and this is our cabin temperature. We got some basic speeds, checklists if you're into that, and also emergency checklists if you're into that. Going over controls, we get just kind of a brief look at everything. So this is set up how I like it, which I run the GNS 530 right here, but if you really want, you can have no GPSs, rocking it old school. You could throw just a 430 in here, rock the 530 like me. If you want to be really cool, have the 530 and the 430. Or if you want to be really new age and modern, slap in a 750 if you got one. I like the 530 in this paint scheme just because I want to keep it simple, but still have like a nice navigation system. Then you can do all of your like extra things from here. So if you really want, you can control your parking brake, your wheel chocks, tie downs, pitot tube cover, which we can't see from here because of the wing. You can open the baggage door. If you really wanted, you could plug in your headphones right here, or you could just come right down here and do it yourself. You can also open up your vents, turn on your heater, turn on your defrost, slap the airplane up on jacks, manage the autopilot, auto start the airplane if you don't want to do it yourself. You can also make it cold and dark if you don't want to shut it down yourself, or maybe you just don't know what you're doing and would like a little extra assistance. You can turn on gyro drift, your gyro sounds. Cockpit persistence I leave on so that way it leaves the airplane how I left it. You have visible passengers, which that does work. We'll go over that when we get to fuel and payload. Persistence by livery, which means each airplane is different, and that's how I like it because I do have another one that I keep in Montana, and I want them to be different from each other. And then a realistic parking brake. You also have some advanced options involving radios. You can have a 3-way gear switch, which pretty much means instead of just gear down, gear up, there is a neutral position. You can have the original prop lever, which, so if we take a look right now, it's modern where it's blue. Now it's old school. I like the blue one in this airplane. The one I have in Montana has the original and the 3-way. You can adjust your rudder trim speed, elevator trim, and your elevator force. Then you just got some different settings for like turbulence strength, how the airplane wears, and how often it fails. This T button right here will pop us outside, and as you can see, we can now tow the airplane. You'd like use your joystick or your yoke and push forward to go, kind of the perspective we're at, to push the airplane backwards, being forward. You'd pull back to pretty much walk backwards with the aircraft, and left, right moves you left and right. That's kind of cool that they did that. Moving into our fuel and payload, here's like your weight and balance. Here's your fuel options. And then update digital monitor will update this guy right here. And then your empty weight, all that fun stuff right there. So right now, I got me right there in the first seat. And if we really wanted, we could slap someone in seat 2, which I have the Got Friends little dog mod. So we got my buddy here. I wanted it to be like my real dog, which weighs about 50 pounds, but the lowest they'll let you go is 100. You can also throw some people in the back, and you may or may not have seen the nose move. And if we come back here, look, we got 2 friends with us in the back. You can adjust their weights. How A2A did this is something I wish that FlySimware would take a lesson from with their 414. I love their 414, but I hate how they did weight and balance, where you have to pick a name which comes pre-assigned with the weight, whatever. Like this, you know. Sure, we don't get to customize what... Wow. I don't know what's going on there. He needs to wear some glasses or something. That's just weird looking. I wish we could, like, pick, like, who's sitting where. That'd be nice, but we can at least change the weights. We do a baggage, and we can take that in and out, and you can adjust it. I've been pretending to carry 75 pounds of luggage back there. You can adjust your fuel. And then we get the maintenance page, which is probably the coolest. So this one, we're going to start from the bottom. You can have your airplane in brand new state and used state, or like you just bought it at an auction. That's the one I did. We managed to score a low hour Comanche from the auction. And so it only has 1,048 hours on it. The engine only has 997. So you can overhaul the whole thing, overhaul the airframe. You can pick which propeller you want. I don't want to change it because I don't want to mess with my hours and maintenance that I have on it. But you can have this one, or you can have a real nice white MT propeller on it. I use the Stabilator tips, which are these guys right here. They bump up your speeds. Your wing gap seals, wing root feelings, slipper fairings, gear lobe fairings, and soundproofing. I use all of it on this aircraft, which you can choose to use none or all of it. You can also turn on and off your tip tanks if you'd like. And then you can inspect your aircraft, and so it shows us everything's in the green. If something was not in the green, we could click on it and it would tell us, which we'll see that here in the engine. So engine's the same. You got everything labeled out. You can inspect the engine, check your oil, change your oil, put additive in it, change your spark plugs, overhaul it, which if we take a look, we can see inspect. So everything's green except for my baffling, which says the engine baffling is starting to dry up and not sealing as well. Still providing good seal, but replacing it would probably lower my temperatures. Then you can choose to fix it or ignore it. We've just been ignoring it. Take a look at cylinder number 3. We have low compression. Overhauls recommended, but it's airworthy. This has some worn rings and valves, and we may notice some misfires at idle or low RPM, but it's still able to produce full power. They also burn more oil, and then also we'll see some temperatures. And so I've just been leaving it as is, and so far everything's been good. This is probably my favorite screen, and we'll take a better look at that here when we fire up the airplane. And I also like this electrical screen because it'll actually show us our circuit breakers, what's using power, how it's drawing from, and we can charge the battery. Microsoft should learn this about their ATR 72. Wink, wink. I've had a lot of dead batteries in that ATR. And then you can actually do your walk around too, which then iPad pops out, and then you can go all the way through and click around, which now we can actually see you've got the tie downs on. You can sump your fuel tanks. You can actually pull the tie downs down from here too, and you could also put them up for if you wanted to do like an after flight walk around. You can also pull the wheel chocks and slap them back in to sump all the fuel, check your oil. You can do all that fun stuff. But I'm just going to go ahead and pull that pitot tube cover and these ropes. And this looks like we're going to have to do all the way around the airplane to all these ropes. Lame. Now let's go back and get that first one we left on. I was thinking if you just click one, it would pull all of them. Yeah, you can do the whole walk around, check all the flight surfaces. But I did just fly this in from Flagstaff and everything was good, so in real life, you probably would not, you'd still do your walk around and whatnot, but this is the sim, and so I'm going to say we just flew it, so we don't need to, so we just flew it, so we don't need to do that walk around because it was good enough earlier. So we'll just take our dog here with us. Oh, will join us for the ride. Well, I guess my dog's a her, so she'll enjoy the ride. Go ahead, shimmy around here and get this window closed so that way I don't forget it. Leave our window open. And now we will go ahead and kind of go over how to fly it. So to fly it, first things first, we're going to want to pull the control locks, and then we see those get stuffed right down there next to our iPad. But one of the things we are definitely going to want to get rid of is our wheel chocks. For that, I like to watch this maintenance page for the engine analyzer. Get that yoke out of our way. And so now what we're going to do is, we already got our fuel on because we didn't turn it off, so we'll flip the master on. If you listen carefully, you can hear some of the background noise. It has really great sounds on this airplane. And since our tanks are open, we'll go ahead and push the mixture in and get the fuel pump fired up. You can hear that in the background. And also, if we were paying attention, we'd see that fuel pressure start to rise. And I'll go ahead and, I don't know, what is it, like 50 degrees? It's 60 degrees out. We'll give it just 3 strokes of primer, see how that does. So 1, there's 2, and there's 3. Then let's just make sure the throttle's adjusted. Sure is. Now we're going to go ahead and turn on the mags. Before we fire it up, let's just take a look around. I don't see anyone nearby, just some chickens over there. And parking brake's on, so we'll give it a good old clear prop. And we will fire it up. And one thing before I hit the starter, just take a look at how this thing starts up and also this engine analyzer. It is, I love the startup on this airplane. It is gorgeous and beautiful. See, that is a beautiful startup, and just to kill some of the noise, we're going to go ahead and plug those headphones in, and you can hear it reduce the sound some, and we'll close this window. So let's go ahead and get that up to about 1,000 RPM. Oh wait, what'll probably help is we actually bring the prop up. There we go. I gotta pull that throttle back. And we shouldn't have to warm it up too much because we did just fly in from Flagstaff. But we are at 75, or I guess almost 7,600 feet, so we actually do need to lean it. So I'm not going to do anything too fancy here. I'm just going to bring it back until we start to see the RPM drop again because it's too lean. And you can kind of hear the occasional misfire because we do have that cylinder that should probably be overhauled. And there it goes, just saw loss. We got pretty close up to 1,100. So I'm just going to give it back until we get close to 1,100, which there's 1,100, and I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, cylinder number 3 is the one that's kind of misfiring, and if you pay attention, you'll see it sometimes go dark versus all the other ones. There it was right there. And you can also hear it because each cylinder is actually modeled, so if we just listen for a second. You can hear how it's not running very smooth because it's number 3 cylinder. has the occasional misfire. Now what we'll do is we'll flip the avionics master on, get this out of our way. And one of the things I like about the persistent cockpit, especially by livery, is it actually saves all this. So like when I flew in from Flagstaff, I had this Nav2 radio telling us our ground speed to the VOR here in Bryce Canyon. And then I could still use the Nav1 for navigating. And so this right here we'll do first while that 530 fires up, but this is like our little engine overview gauge where you can change the fuel, whatever. We're actually not changing the fuel. Aw, darn it. I hit the wrong button. Well, now it says we have 60 gallons in the tank, and we do not have 60 gallons in the tank. So I'll just have to top it off next time. But so it has different steps, so you can actually see it's calculating what 60 gallons in, which we don't. Calculating how long our endurance is based on our current burn rate, which is 1.7 gallons per hour. Which then you see right there, that's how much fuel we've used. Calculate remaining. LF will actually tell you, will help you find how lean to do your engine to make it rich a peak or lean a peak, or if you want to run it at peak. It's a really neat feature of it. I don't think we're really going to go over that today. You can see like your manifold pressure, your RPM, your oil pressure, your gallon, your fuel burn, how much fuel you have remaining, endurance, and then how your battery's doing. We also get to see like our percentage of horsepower. And then here's all 6 of our cylinders, so you can see what temperatures they're running. Number 2 is the hottest. And just really cool, actually. Then you have your standard gauges like your airspeed, attitude, altimeter. This is your autopilot, which will go ahead and fire up, let it warm up. Then we got your standard heading, navigation, vertical speed. Got a little clock right down here. Your EGT, vertical speed, Nav2, manifold pressure right here as well, tachometer. This is like your fuel flow management to kind of let you know how you're doing, and you can also see your I'm having a hard time here. Like your 55% cruise, 65% cruise, and 75%. You also get your takeoff lines. Then you got your ADF up here, which I have it turned off because we're not going to use it, but it does work. Then your gyro suction, cylinder head temps. We do have this little cubby right here. Also got a little ashtray. And you got your hobs, and then going over here we got vents, which do make sounds as well. Might be a little hard to hear that, but it does have a sound. We got our defrost on and our cabin heat, which it is a little chilly in the cabin, so we're just going to crank those up. Primer, carb heat, which we'll actually turn on. Then you got our prop, throttle, mixture, parking brake, starter, magnetos, pitot heat, and, well, we forgot about that little guy. No one report us. Big rotating beacon, strobe lights, landing lights. Here's your instrument lights. All your circuit breakers are right down here. For our tip tanks, this is how you can check how much fuel's in them. Ours are empty. Here's your landing gear. And coming down, we have our flaps. So there's our flaps for takeoff, our emergency gear, and our fuel. Pretty basic. It's what you expect for a Piper. And I guess what you expect is what you get. But what you really get with this aircraft is all the A2A stuff. So you get the engine that's actually like simulated, and you get the wear and tear. You get the feel from, you know, AccuSim and all that. If you're, I guess if you're aware of what A2A is and what they do, you kind of understand what all that is. So now we'll go ahead and taxi it down to the runway, and we'll get it flying. Which I'm not going to bother making any kind of fancy edits to get us down there. I'll just drive down there and kind of fill you guys in on where I've been at, if you care to know. If you don't care to know where I've been, go ahead, check the timestamps down in the description below. Which also, in the description below, you can see any of the add-ons that I use or any of the mods. So if I have something you want, go ahead, check down there. That's where I put it, and I put it in there in all of my videos. But because there's normally like credits and stuff, or if I use music or whatnot, you kind of got to scroll a little bit. Same for the timestamps. They're not the first thing that pops up. But for those of you that care to know where I've been, because if you're a returning viewer, you probably realized I haven't made a video in over a month. And if you're new and, you know, we're doing like that Facebook stalking thing, but on YouTube, you would also see that I haven't made a video in over a month. Well, with my work, it is my travel season, so I have been traveling around. I've been everywhere from northern Montana up by Glacier National Park to Seattle to like middle of nowhere Kansas to Denver, Spokane, all kinds of traveling here. And the little bit of time I have been home, I actually moved to a new place. This new place has fiber internet, which coming from a farm with, on a good day, 20 megabits a second is absolutely mind-blowing. I now have 600 up and down, so I'm real excited to see how fast this YouTube video hits the internet, because it's really fast compared to the farm. And one thing you probably won't notice because we're here in Bryce Canyon, but I did finally get my new computer built. And I think it might be Bryce Canyon, but there's the very light chop occasionally. I don't know what it is. It wasn't like that my entire flight up here from Flagstaff to Bryce Canyon. And I've flown this airplane from Little Bear to, not Little Bear, from Big Bear, California to Ontario, from Ontario to Santa Barbara back to Big Bear, and then Big Bear to Flagstaff, and then Flagstaff up here. I've also flown the Microsoft ATR from Christchurch to Wellington. And I haven't had this weird little intermittent chop in the frame rates. That is very new as of this video. So I think it is just probably something with the Bryce Canyon Airport, you know, running that within my recording software, and I'm not sure. But the frame rates are amazing. Like, I guess I never thought my frame rates were that bad on my old computer. But after I got in here, you can just feel and tell the difference, and it's really nice flying, having a super smooth flight, super smooth landings. It's really nice to have this new machine. And yeah, so I actually built this computer myself. First time I've ever built a computer. I was incredibly nervous, but yet super excited to turn it on for the first time. Very nerve-wracking though. I was like, oh no, what if I broke it? I've put so much money into this computer. What if like I did it wrong and just like destroyed the thing? But it was so cool. If you're thinking about building a computer, I would recommend it. It's actually really easy. First time you do it, it's a little nerve-wracking, but it's so cool, you know, when you fire it up, start putting it together, and then you fly to like, I made this. And so just to see it in action is really cool. But with that, for those of you that did not want to hear about my personal life or my really cool new computer, we are finally arriving down at the runway. So we're going to go ahead, flip the landing lights on and the strobes, even though we're not there yet. Click this transponder over to altitude reporting. We are on Unicom, so we shouldn't have to worry too much about that. And now we're going to go ahead and turn out onto the runway. I gave it a little bit too much brake there. Hit the magic B button to ensure that altimeter is up to date, which it is. And I love this dog just sitting here right beside me. I love that so much. I wish they had a border collie though, because my dog's a border collie and I love border collies. I wish we had a border collie. So got friends, if you happen to stumble across this, I would love a border collie. But I love the mod just in general. I just love it because I love the fact I can have a dog just riding shotgun with me now. So then we're lined up on runway 21. I saw the numbers as we kind of rolled out on top of them, and we can also confirm that by our heading, we should be at a 216, and we're pretty close to that. Now we're going to go ahead and slowly bring everything up to speed. Give it just a little bit of back pressure, which I forgot to check our trim actually. Looks neutral for the most part. Go ahead, bring that throttle all the way up now. Nice and slow. We got full throttle in. I love the vibrations and the sounds, even with the headset on. So we're starting to get like that right wing coming up, and we should be good to get airborne now. Took off right about 85, so we'll go ahead and bring the gear up. And normally for climb, I'd bring the RPM back to 2400, but since we're just going to stay here in the pattern, I'm not going to do that. Just like I'm not going to turn off the fuel pump or anything. But I did bring the landing gear up and the flaps up as well. We are drifting a little bit to the right because of the wind, so we're drifting to the left, so we're going to give it a little bit of a right turn just to kind of keep us on course. And then the airport's at about 80. The airport's at about 7,600, so we're going to go up to 8,600 for our pattern altitude. So there we are passing 81, so we're going to go ahead and make a left turn out to do our downwind. And then we're just going to watch our speed. And we're just going to make a very consistent turn onto our downwind. We're not going to actually stop, be like, oh, here's 90 degrees. Go straight for a second.
Salt Lake Center, Piper, November 779.
Oh, why is that on?
Piper Comanche, 2 miles southwest of Kilo
Okay,
Bravo,
apparently I have the AI like radio communications on. I thought I turned that off. Well, there you go. You know the radio works now. Yeah, so we're coming up on 8,600, so we're going to bring our throttle back. Okay, that's going to irritate me. There we go. Problem solved. We just turned it all the way. That's irritating. So now let's give it some trim. Yeah, so I brought our throttle back. We're right about 8,600, right about runway heading 2. And what's really cool is you can actually see right here on our wingtip light, the landing light. If we did not have the tip tanks on, you'd be able to see the strobe flashing. But yeah, so I really like this airplane. It flies super well. I have not tried to do any stalls in it yet, and just because we're only 1,000 feet off the ground, I'm not gonna like try and do any stalls to impress you guys with my really good piloting ability. Because let's face it, I'm just a remote operator. I'm not a real pilot. I'm only a student pilot and a remote operator. Which was really cool. I wanted to get a video out yesterday, but I was busy getting my new drone for work, so we did not get a video out yesterday. So we did pass the runway, so we're going to bring throttle back some, and we're going to start that descent. And now we're going to go ahead and begin our banking in, which we turned about like that to get out here, so we should be able to do that semi-consistently and get lined back up with the runway, but I think we drifted a little inward. So we're going to go ahead and drop our landing gear. And we're well within the white arc, so we're going to give it our first notch of flaps too. Just check where we're lining up, and we need to turn a lot sharper if we want to get lined up right away. And we're at 100 knots, so we'll go ahead and give it flaps 2. There's 95, which is roughly our final approach speed, so we'll give it final notch of flaps. And now we'll just work on getting lined up with the runway. This airplane flies super well. I absolutely am in love with it. If you've paid like any attention to my channel, you'll know probably the 2 aircraft I fly the most are the Kodiak and the 414. That new Microsoft Flight Sim ATR has easily become another one of my favorites. But if I had to rank my favorite aircraft in the sim, it is going to be this A2A Comanche. I am absolutely in love with this aircraft. Just to give us another lap around the pattern for you to see how this aircraft performs, we're going to go ahead and say that like a dog just ran out on the runway. So we're going to do a go around, so we're going to give it power, bring the gear up, and we'll leave 1 notch of flaps in because we're still only doing 85. And so now we're heading down the runway. And we've gained some speed and some altitude, so we'll go ahead and pull that. And we're 300 feet above field. Or I guess more like 200, 250. There's roughly 300 feet above the field. There is roughly 400. And now roughly 500 feet above the field. So I'm just going to slow our ascent, just to get us some more distance before we make another pattern. And now we'll go ahead and make our new left-hand turn, and I want to make this one a little bit more shallow, so that way we hopefully don't end up in the same situation we did last time. And we're still looking for roughly 8,600 feet for our altitude. It put us right about 1,000 feet above the airport. But yeah, so this will be our final lap around in the Comanche, and then we'll go ahead, taxi her back in, shut her down, and call it a night. But, you know, I am now a remote operator, you know, not a real pilot. But when I was doing my flight training back in the day, I was landing in kind of middle of nowhere, Montana. And a dog actually did run out onto the runway, like in front of us. So that was kind of where I got that example from, was from my own personal experience of like legitimately having a dog run out into the runway, and we had to go around, and I was like, I can't believe there's a dog out here, man. Who just lets a dog on the runway? Someone did, and we're going too high now, so let's go ahead, and our speed's looking pretty good. We're right about 110 or so miles an hour. If you did not know, the actual outside ring right here where we got 100, 120, 140, all that, that's in miles an hour. Knots are down here and that one. I'm pretty happy with this speed. We're a little high. We'll go ahead and bring power back down. That way we can start a descent because we are a little high. Wingtip just past the end of the runway. Let's see, we'll follow that a little bit longer this time. So we were a little high, but we figured it out there at the end. And we'll probably wait until it passes that pillar right behind our chair. And let's see here. And that's... should we turn now? Yeah, it's going to be close enough. Let's go ahead and turn now. One of the things, now that I have this nice new fancy computer, is I want to get Track IR. I think Track IR would be awesome, because right now I just have a very basic flight sim setup. I have a joystick, and for that outside view, I hooked up an Xbox controller, so it was real nice and smooth. I hope you guys like that. But I just have a joystick that I use, so I'm using the little hatch on top of the joystick to actually like change our views and whatnot. Which we need to drop some speed and some altitude. See, we're well from the white arc, so we'll drop the gear. I'll also give it that first notch of flaps. I think we're doing good on altitude now. I'd give it notch 2. Oh yeah, look at that. Red and white. Just went to white and white. We were good for a whole half a second. Now we're on final. Get our final notch in. Look at that. That's almost beautiful. We're right at the very top of that glide path, though. We keep going from white and red to white and white. And so, if you're curious, this is the Orbx Bryce Canyon scenery. I had enough of those orbs that they're doing now that I actually picked this up for free, which was cool. So, I'll put it in the payware section, but I did get it for free, because apparently I've spent enough money with Orbx. And this looks like a pretty good approach. We're a little low now. Doing about 80, so we're also a little slow. We'll just bring her down nice and gentle. A little bit of rudder, not much. Need to bring down the sensitivity on that elevator, apparently. Oh, we're drifting. Trying to show off a nice landing, and now I'm messing the whole thing up, right? It's usually how it works. Just floating. There we go. Floated a lot longer than I wanted to, but that's okay. We have plenty of runway here. So, worst case, I guess we would have had to do another go around, right? I guess it probably would have technically been touch and go. But we still got a lot of speed, so want to bring those controls back to help do some aerodynamic braking. We pop that nose up. Yeah, this airplane's really good. I love flying this thing. It's really fun to fly. And A2A did an awesome job. I can't say enough good things about it. And I would say if you're like considering buying this airplane, my usual recommendation is, you know, buy something that you think you're going to use. Like that new Just Flight Fokker F-28. I really want it, but you know, I just can't justify it because I'm not going to fly it like ever. So I'm going to wait for it to go on sale. But I don't know, maybe you're thinking like, you know, maybe I want Kerbal Space Program 2, which has a lot of issues. Or maybe I want the A2A Comanche, which should I get? I prioritized it as Kerbal Space Program 2 in its current state is like Kerbal Space Program 1 with less features but better graphics. Versus this is an amazing airplane and a really good sim. So I'm going to get the airplane. And what's cool from FSX, I actually still had points with A2A, so I actually got this for like $7 or $8 off, which was cool. I got a discount on this, so I didn't even got to pay full price. That was neat. And yeah, otherwise, I would highly recommend this airplane. It is awesome. I love it. But yeah, so my flight sim setup is pretty basic. I have just a joystick with it's like a $27 joystick I got off Amazon a couple years ago. I want to, you know, eventually get something a little nicer, but I just don't want to use the space right now, and there's other things I'd rather spend my money on than replacing something that works. But I did hook up an Xbox controller to get those cool outside views, so it's a lot smoother than me hitting a bunch of keyboard keys, so I hope you guys like that. And I think we're actually going to park where the game wants us to park today, so let's go ahead and flip around here. Give it just a little bit more power. And alright, so we need to keep turning to the right. Hopefully they do a good job at lining this up. We'll see. I wish that gal wasn't standing right there. Lady, move. You're going to get taken out. Okay, they're not going to do a good job at lining us up because I already know we're way crooked. Where do you want us to go? Okay, yeah. Good old flight sim marshalers for you. This is going to be terrible. I already know. So parking brake is set. Go ahead, bring that up to 1200. I like to feather the prop. The prop's nice and feathered. Push that carb heat in. We'll go ahead and open those up. Open that. And let's go ahead. Oh, wait. Avionics and autopilot first. And oh no! She just got destroyed. Oh man. She came right in for us too. Jeez. And let's actually show you how shutdown works with the engine analyzer up. And let's go ahead and kill the engine. See, isn't that awesome? I love this thing so much. And if we really wanted, we could, you know, spin the prop. I don't know if there's a way to hand spin it. That'd be cool. And what's cool is, so if we here run the starter, you can actually see the drain from the battery, which is cool. If you ever need to charge your battery, you just hit it right there. Then we'll go ahead and turn off the mags, turn off the beacon, pull our headphones out, and kill the master. So with that, we'll go ahead and attempt to open our door with our little pupper here in the way. And with that, I think that's going to go ahead and be the conclusion of the video, because I'm not really sure what else to show you guys right now. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, drop them down in the comments below, because it's YouTube. You can't like slide into my DMs or nothing. But it was really good being back. I'm hoping to get some more videos out here soon. We'll see what happens. You know, I don't get to make those decisions right now. My work does. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you think down below. If you liked it, go ahead, hit like. You know, got a shameless plug. If you hit the subscribe button, it helps the channel out a lot. So if you drop a subscribe, I would definitely appreciate it. I also appreciate your comments. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you didn't like. Let me know what you want to see. I love your feedback. I love to hear from you guys. And I hope you guys have an awesome weekend. And I cannot wait to see how fast my new internet uploads this video. I will talk to you guys later. Stay awesome.